The afternoon sunlight streamed through the tall arched windows of Riverside Cafe, casting warm patterns across the polished wooden tables where Chicago's business professionals conducted informal meetings over artisan coffee. The elegant space hummed with quiet conversations and the gentle clink of espresso cups. Alexander Hayes sat at his usual corner table, reviewing contract documents for what would be the largest deal of his career. At 38, Alexander was the CEO of Hayes Development Group, and he was hours away from signing a $200 million partnership that would transform his commercial real estate company into a national powerhouse. The contract spread across the table represented months of negotiation with Meridian Investment Partners. Alexander had reviewed it multiple times with his legal team, but he believed in understanding every clause himself before signing anything of this magnitude. At the counter, Emma Walsh was in her second week working as a barista at Riverside Cafe. At 26, Emma had taken the job to pay bills while studying for her bar exam, having recently graduated from law school. The position was temporary and humble, but it provided flexible hours for studying and enough income to cover rent in her small apartment. What her co-workers and the cafe's regular customers didn't know was that Emma had graduated top of her class from Northwestern Law School with a specialization in corporate contracts and mergers. She had clerked for a federal judge and had job offers from prestigious firms, but she had postponed starting her legal career by 6 months to care for her mother during cancer treatment. As Emma delivered Alexander's third espresso of the afternoon, she couldn't help but notice the contract spread across his table. Years of legal training had made her instinctively skim legal documents the way some people skimmed newspaper headlines. Her eyes caught on a clause in the middle of page 7 and she froze. The language looked wrong, subtly wrong in a way that most people wouldn't notice, but that a trained lawyer would recognize as potentially catastrophic. Emma hesitated, torn between professional boundaries and what her conscience was telling her. She was a barista, not his lawyer. It wasn't her place to comment on a customer's business documents, but the clause she had spotted could cost this man millions, possibly his entire company. She made a decision that could get her fired for overstepping. "Excuse me, sir," Emma said quietly, setting down his espresso. "I apologize for intruding, but I couldn't help noticing your contract. That clause in section 7.3, I think there might be an error." Alexander looked up, surprise and slight irritation flickering across his face. "I'm sorry, what?" Emma felt her cheeks flush but pressed forward. "The liability indemnification clause. The way it's currently worded, you would be assuming full financial responsibility for any losses incurred by the partnership, including those resulting from their own decisions. That's not standard reciprocal liability language." Alexander's expression shifted from irritation to sharp attention. "And you know this how?" "I graduated from Northwestern Law School 3 months ago. I specialized in corporate law and contracts." Emma gestured apologetically at her barista apron. "This is temporary while I'm taking care of some family matters before starting my legal career." Alexander looked at her with new eyes, then back at the contract, finding the section she had referenced. As he read it carefully, his expression grew troubled. "My legal team reviewed this contract multiple times. They signed off on it. May I look more closely?" Emma asked carefully. "I could be wrong, but if I'm not, this is the kind of clause that predatory partners bury in complex documents, hoping busy executives will miss it." Alexander hesitated only a moment before gesturing to the empty chair across from him. "Please." Emma sat down and began reading through the contract with the practiced speed of someone trained to spot problematic language. After 10 minutes, she looked up, her expression serious. "Mr. Hayes, I don't want to alarm you, but this contract has several clauses that substantially favor your partner while exposing you to significant risk. The liability clause I mentioned first, a non-compete provision that's broader than industry standard, and an exit clause that would make it nearly impossible for you to leave the partnership without forfeiting major assets." Alexander felt cold realization washing over him. "Are you saying this is a bad deal?" "I'm saying this contract doesn't protect your interests the way a partnership agreement should. It reads more like a document designed to give your partner control over your company while you assume most of the risk." Alexander pulled out his phone and called his head of legal. David, I need you to look at something in the Meridian contract. The liability indemnification clause in section 7.3. Read it very carefully and tell me what it actually says. After several minutes of silence on the phone, Alexander heard his attorney's voice shift to alarm. Alex, I need to review this entire contract again. I think we missed some problematic language. After ending the call, Alexander looked at Emma with a mixture of gratitude and concern. If I had signed this contract without catching those clauses, what would have happened? Worst case scenario, Emma said gently, Meridian could make high-risk decisions with your partnership assets. And if those decisions failed, you would be liable for the losses while they would be protected. They could effectively use your company as collateral for their own ventures while you bore the legal and financial consequences. Alexander felt nauseous thinking about how close he had come to signing. Why would my own legal team miss this? Sometimes when deals get complex and time pressures build, even good lawyers start skimming sections they assume are standard. Sophisticated bad actors count on that. They make 90% of the contract look perfectly normal, so the problematic 10% gets lost in the details. Emma paused, choosing her words carefully. Mr. Hayes, I need to be clear about something. I'm not officially a practicing attorney yet. I haven't taken the bar exam. So nothing I've told you constitutes official legal advice. Alexander nodded. But you caught something my entire legal team missed. I had fresh eyes and no time pressure coloring my judgment, Emma replied. Your team will see it now that they're looking carefully. Alexander studied her thoughtfully. You said you have job offers from law firms. Which ones? Emma named 3 prestigious Chicago firms, all known for corporate law practices. And you're working as a barista instead because of family matters. My mother was diagnosed with cancer 6 months ago. I graduated early to help care for her during treatment. She's doing better now, which is why I'm planning to take the bar exam next month and start my legal career. Alexander made a decision. Emma, I'd like to offer you a position as corporate counsel with Hayes Development Group. The salary would be competitive with the offers you've received. And we could structure it to begin after you pass the bar exam. But I'd like to hire you as a consultant immediately to help me understand what happened with this contract. Emma was stunned. Mr. Hayes, you don't have to do this because I pointed out a contract problem. That's just basic decency. I'm not offering you a job out of gratitude, Alexander said. I'm offering because you demonstrated extraordinary professional judgment in a situation where you had nothing to gain and possibly something to lose by speaking up. That's exactly the kind of legal counsel I need. He gestured at the contract. My current legal team is good, but they got comfortable. I need someone who will question every clause and every assumption, who won't let time pressure or deal momentum override careful analysis. You showed me you have that skill. Over the following weeks, Emma worked as a consultant while continuing to study for the bar exam. Her analysis of the Meridian contract revealed that it was indeed structured to give the investment firm control over Alexander's company while protecting themselves from risk. The deal was restructured completely, and Meridian ultimately walked away when they couldn't maintain their advantageous position. Alexander discovered through further investigation that Meridian had successfully used similar contracts to take control of 3 other companies in the past 5 years. Emma's intervention had saved not just $200 million, but his company's independence. After Emma passed the bar exam with exceptional scores, she joined Hayes Development Group as general counsel. Her first initiative was implementing contract review protocols that prevented the kind of oversight that had nearly cost Alexander everything. More importantly, Emma brought a perspective to the legal team that came from her unexpected path. Her time as a barista had taught her that valuable expertise existed in unexpected places, and that assumptions about people based on their current job titles often missed their full capabilities. Alexander often reflected on how a simple coffee order had led to one of the most important interventions in his business career. He had learned a crucial lesson: that the most valuable advice sometimes comes from people you least expect, and that being open to input from anyone, regardless of their apparent status, could mean the difference between success and catastrophe. The new cashier, who had dared to tell a CEO his contract was wrong, had demonstrated that expertise isn't always visible on the surface, and that courage to speak up when something is wrong matters more than respecting artificial hierarchies that might prevent truth from being heard. Thank you for listening to this story about recognizing expertise in unexpected places and having the courage to speak up when you see something wrong. If this tale reminded you that valuable knowledge can come from anyone, regardless of their job title, please like this video, share it with someone who believes in listening to all voices, and subscribe for more stories celebrating those who speak truth even when it's uncomfortable. We'd love to hear in the comments about times when someone unexpected provided crucial advice, or when you had to find courage to speak up about something important. Remember, expertise exists everywhere, and the wisest leaders are those who remain open to learning from anyone, regardless of where they stand in organizational hierarchies. Thank you for watching EchoRooh.